Section 46 of Captain Bill McDonald, Texas Ranger, A Story of Frontier Reform. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Bill McDonald, Texas Ranger, A Story of Frontier Reform by Albert Bigelow Paine. Appendix C. Report of Captain W.J. McDonald, commanding Company B, Ranger Force, September 1st, 1902 to August 31st, 1904. The Adjutant General, State of Texas. Sir, I have the honor to herewith enclose a report of the operations of Company B, Ranger Force, for 2 years ending August 31st, 1904. September 1902. Captain McDonald, with Privates Blanton, Ryan, and Taylor, scouted to Hutchinson County from Amarillo. Private Taylor arrested James Newland for assault and murder and turned him over to Sheriff Randall. Sergeant McCauley and Private Delling were ordered to Newland County on a scout and escorted a party of surveyors who had been run out of pastures with Winchesters and protected them from violence. Captain McDonald with Privates Blanton and Taylor went to Columbus to carry Gregorio Cortez to Carnes County District Court, his life being threatened by a mob. It was necessary to secure 2 men from Company C and guard the jail in which he was placed. By order of the district judge, we carried him back to Columbus and put him in jail there. Captain McDonald arrested S. Harvard for theft of a bale of cotton valued at $25.20 and put him in jail at Quanah. October 1902. I went to Norman, O.T. to appear in cases against horse thieves previously caught by me for theft of horses. Accompanied by Private Taylor and Ryan, I went to Eagle Lake to investigate the attempted assassination of W.T. Elridge and to protect Mr. Elridge from further violence, and succeeded in finding out who did the shooting. Privates Blanton, Warrant, and Ryan scouted Oldham, Moore, Hutchinson, Roberts, Hemphill, Wheeler, Gray, and Carson counties during the month, locating cow thieves reported to be in that section. Sergeant McCauley assisted Sheriff Johnson in carrying a crazy man to the asylum at Austin, Texas. During this month, 2,600 miles were scouted and traveled. November 1902. Accompanied by Privates Ryan and Taylor, I attended District Court at Richmond, where trouble was anticipated in connection with the attempt to assassinate Mr. Elridge. I went to Texline in Clayton, New Mexico, to investigate cattle stealing. December 1902. With Privates Blanton and Kenton, I took Will Carr, who had turned state's evidence on the county clerk, cattle inspectors, and others in Hutchinson County, to Lipscomb County to District Court, where one of the cases had been transferred. By order of the governor of the state, Company B was ordered to Fort Hancock on the Rio Grande, which was made headquarters instead of Amarillo. January 1903. Private Smith scouted to Alpine, to Santiago, and to Comstock. Arrested Joe Hammond for murder and delivered him to the sheriff at Alpine. Also arrested a man for theft. February 1903. Private Smith and Taylor arrested a man at Sanderson for burglarizing Lockhampton Ranch. He recovered the stolen property and turned it over to the owner. He turned the burglar over to the sheriff of the county. Sergeant McCauley and Private Ryan arrested Joe Jones, wanted at Pecos for forgery, and turned him over to the sheriff of the county. The money in his possession was secured and turned over to the sheriff of the county, and the defendant sent to the penitentiary at once. Privates Bean and Blanton scouted to Shafter and guarded the money for the mines. I assisted the local officials of El Paso several times during the month, and went to Magnum O.T. as witnesses to assist in the prosecution of Sid Woodring, Frank Woodring, and others for stealing my horses. These men were followed by me from the line of Collinsworth County to Cleveland County O.T. and caught with the horses. They were sent to the penitentiary for the theft. March 1903. Sergeant McCauley and Privates Bean and Blanton scouted on 2 trips to Shafter and Marfa and up around the Rio Grande in search for the notorious Bill Taylor, the train robber and murderer, and who had broken jail on several occasions. But he escaped into Mexico. Privates Taylor and Smith scouted to Sanderson and assisted the constable in preventing trouble at a trial in court, where a defendant, a sheriff, had killed the justice of the peace. Private Taylor, at the request of the sheriff, had went with him to El Paso to bring George McLaughlin, who was charged with rape, to Alpine Court. He also assisted in the arrest of a man for rape, 1 for horse theft, and 1 for murder, and put them on trial. Many scouts were made along the river in search of cow and horse thieves during the month. April 1903. I assisted the officers and went with the sheriff of Pecos County to locate a man, but he escaped into Mexico. Sergeant McCauley and Private Bean arrested 2 men for theft of wood and 1 for theft of a horse. Sergeant McCauley assisted the sheriff in arresting a man for threatening to take life. Privates Delling and Ryan scouted the Valentine and assisted in following horse thieves, but the thieves escaped into Mexico. They recovered 1 stolen horse and returned it to owner. Private Smith arrested a man for assault and went to Sanderson to investigate the attempted burning of a hotel. He also went to Del Rio to look after several horse-stealing cases. Private Taylor went with Inspector Cook on a scout, looking for stolen cattle. May 1903. I assisted in bringing to justice Gil Bryce, a Mexican, charged with killing a lawyer named Tusselman several years ago, who had escaped at Fort Hancock while shackled. Privates Ryan and Bean were sent to Sanderson to investigate the killing of a justice of the peace and another man. Private Taylor arrested Thomas Chapis for attempted murder and succeeded in getting him in jail. Arrested R.C. McMahon for killing of Mr. Bob Smith, a justice of the peace, and Charles Reed for lunacy. June 1903. Private Ryan scouted down the river and to Sanderson. Sergeant McCauley scouted with and assisted river guards. Private Bean scouted from Sanderson in pursuit of a Mexican wanted in Tom Green County for attempt to rape. Scouted to Sanderson and arrested Tom Brown for killing Mr. Morris, the operator. Private Delling scouted to Furlingen and investigated some cattle stealing. July 1903. Privates Bean and Dunningway scouted 4 days down the river looking for stolen cattle. They arrested 3 Mexicans for shooting at Fort Hancock. Privates Delling and Ryan scouted to Sanderson to prevent trouble between factions and to Fort Stockton to be present at the examining trial of McManahan, who was charged with murder, as trouble was expected. They also arrested a man charged with rape. August 1903. Sergeants McCauley and Private Bean scouted in the northern part of El Paso County, looking after cattle and horse thieves. Private Dunaway arrested John McCain while he was in the act of robbing a T&P caboose. Private Taylor scouted during the month. Various other scouts were made during the month. September 1903. By order of General Hulen, I took Private Dunaway and went to Marfa to investigate an attack made on L.N. Holbert, county attorney. Mr. Holbert had been taken from a hotel by a mob and seriously beaten. I found who the guilty parties were and brought Mr. Holbert to go before the grand jury to prosecute them. But through fear he begged off from the district attorney and wanted the matter dropped. I made an investigation of some whitecappers and furnished the grand jury with evidence of same. 1 man was indicted. By order of General Holen, Sergeant McCauley and Private Dunaway went to Eagle Pass to assist in the quarantine regulations and guarded the river until the quarantine was raised. Accompanied by Sergeant McCauley, I went with Deputy Sheriff Kenton to capture a man, but failed to get him out of Mexico. Several scouts were made to Sanderson and Fort Stockton to assist the officers. Private Bean arrested 2 Mexicans for carrying pistols and carried them to jail by order of the Justice of the Peace. Privates Delling and Ryan arrested 2 Mexicans for disturbing the peace. Private Taylor went to Columbus as witness in the Cortez case. Privates Delling and Smith went with Sheriff Walton to assist him in his county for several days. October 1903. Sergeant McCauley and Private Dunaway were still on quarantine service at Eagle Pass. Private Dunaway arrested a Mexican for running a night watchman from his duty and put him in jail. Privates Ryan and Bean arrested a man for burglarizing Finley Ranch and recovered the property stolen and turned it over to its owner. The man was put in jail at El Paso. Private Smith assisted the sheriff and scouted with him over the county, and then went to Marfa and assisted officers there. Sergeant McCauley and Private Dunaway returned from Eagle Pass, where they have been on duty for several months. Private Bean scouted after outlaws during the month. Private Ryan went to Fort Stockton to attend the district court, and went to Sanderson to do some work for the sheriff and serving some papers. Privates Taylor, Smith, and Delling carried prisoners from Fort Stockton to Marfa for safekeeping. Privates Smith, Taylor, and Delling attended district court in Del Rio. December 1903. By order of General Holen, I went to Walker County to look after parties who waylaid and assassinated Bob James in Kitterell's Cutoff on December 4th. I arrived there on the 12th, and on the 13th and 14th arrested Buck Shaw, Henry Shaw, P. Clark, and Jim Alston as being implicated in the murder, carried them to Huntsville, and had them put in the penitentiary for safekeeping. Held a court of inquiry before Judge Cox, a justice of the peace, every few days. On the 24th, Buck Shaw, the leader of the gang, had an examining trial and was held without bail. Charles Roden was tried on the 29th and held without bail. The defendants then sued out writs of habeas corpus before District Judge Smithers. Alston was allowed bail in the sum of $1,500. Private Delling arrived in the cutoff on the 16th and has been assisting me since in the cases. Private Delling assisted in arresting 2 men for theft of cattle. Private Bean killed the Negro porter in El Paso for knocking him down with his iron poker and was promptly acquitted in district court at El Paso in January. Sergeant McCauley went to Marfa to investigate some stealing there and then went to investigate the killing of William Johnson. January 1904. I, together with Private Delling, went to Corrigan and Livingston to look after some witnesses. I went after a bad Negro for Sheriff Brooks. The Negro was armed with a shotgun, and considerable shooting occurred. After the Negro ran out, he shot at me, and I wounded him in the side. Went to Huntsville to attend habeas corpus trial of the murders of Bob James, which resulted in holding Shaw, Roden, and Clark without bail. Assisted Sheriff Brooks in arresting a bad Negro wanted for robbing. Scouted in Houston, Trinity, Walker counties during the month, continually. Private Delling went to Polk County and arrested 4 men for theft of hogs and put them in jail at Huntsville. Sergeant McCauley arrested C. Marsden for murder. Sergeant McCauley, Privates Ryan and Bean scouted to Love's Ranch to stop an invasion of Mexicans who were coming after parties charged with murder on this side. February 1904. I went to Crockett after attached witnesses. Private Delling arrested a man in the cutoff for theft of hogs. I was ordered to Groveton by Adjutant General Holland for the purpose of investigating the murder of an old lady, Touchstone, who was murdered for her land and money and thrown out the door for the hogs to eat. After investigation, I found her throat had been cut and that she had been killed outright. Assisted by Private Delling, I arrested Ab Engel, who had run off, as principal, and 5 others as accomplices. These parties were indicted by the grand jury. I caught one of them over the line of Arkansas while running away and put him in the pen at Henderson. Private Delling arrested a man in the cutoff for horse theft and put him in jail at Groveton. Private Dunaway arrested a man for robbing a camp. Private Bean arrested 5 Mexicans for disturbing the peace, and 1 man for assault to murder. Privates Taylor and Smith attended district court at Marfa. Privates Smith and Dunaway were ordered to Groveton to assist me in holding down the toughs of East Texas. Private Ryan attended district court at Amarillo, attended district court at Huntsville, assisted the sheriff in handling prisoners. Private Delling arrested 3 men for shooting up the town. He also arrested 1 who was charged with adultery in the cutoff, and 1 for waylaying and shooting 2 men at Phelps with a shotgun. Private Dunaway arrested a man for carrying a pistol at Groveton, and 2 men for conspiring to kill Abe Hyman, the only eyewitness in the murder of Dr. Gary, and another man at Groveton. One of the men had fixed a plan to make the others believe that Abe Hyman was going to do him some violence and succeeded in getting him to get a shotgun in order to kill Abe Hyman. Private Dunaway took the gun and landed both men in jail. The accused man admitted the whole truth. One of these men was made constable, deputy sheriff, and jailer as soon as he was released from jail. The other was run off at once, but I have sworn statements of the facts. Private Dunaway arrested a man for burglary and rape and put him in jail. Private Taylor arrested a man at Sanderson for stealing cattle. Private Taylor was ordered to report to me at Groveton. Private Dunaway arrested a man for carrying a pistol, put him in jail, but the sheriff released him soon after, pretending he was an assistant of his. April 1904. I carried 2 of the accomplices in the Touchstone murder from Huntsville to Groveton. By order of the Adjutant General, I went to Leon County to investigate the murder of Tummons, who was waylaid and killed. 2 men were arrested at the house of the murderer and put under $5,000 bond, but the grand jury failed to find a bill against them. They then began shooting into houses and had the people considerably disturbed. With Private Delling, I arrested them and held them without bail at the examining trial and also in habeas corpus trial. I was ordered to San Jacinto County to investigate lawlessness there, especially in wire cutting, but found some of the wire cutters on the grand jury, and it was the opinion of the district and county attorney that we would do no good under existing circumstances, and nothing was accomplished there. Private Dunaway arrested a man for assault to rape. Assisted by Privates Dunaway and Delling, I arrested 4 persons charged with murder. They had previously been arrested for being accomplices in the Touchstone murder. I arrested a man for theft of a horse. Sergeant McCauley scouted in different counties on the Rio Grande and investigated the stealing of horses. I went to Waverly to investigate the poisoning of a well and cistern, but decided it was done by the parties themselves in order to accuse others of it. I went to Palestine to assist the sheriff in hanging a Negro charged with rape. Private Delling went to Leon County to investigate the murder of Bob Blackwell and succeeded in securing the required evidence. He attended the examining trial of 2 men charged with the murder, who were held without bail. Privates Smith and Dunaway arrested a man for attempting to murder A.A. Smith and put him in jail. They also arrested the same man for carrying a pistol. Private Ryan arrested 2 Mexicans for stealing sheep in El Paso County and another for stealing wool. June 1904. Private Delling and myself scouted in Kitterell's Cutoff, Houston and Trinity counties. I went to Comstock, made a scout on Devil's River to El Paso and to Fort Hancock. Sergeant McCauley arrested a man for embezzlement and started to jail with him at El Paso, but he escaped by jumping out of a window while the train was in motion. Sergeant McCauley and Private Ryan arrested 2 Mexicans for theft of horses and saddles, recovered the property, and returned the same to its owners. Private Ryan attempted to arrest a man for theft of cattle and had a running fight and wounded him. He escaped across the river. Private Dunaway arrested a man and put him in jail for carrying a pistol. Privates Delling and Smith went to Centerville to court to prevent trouble between citizens there when a malicious prosecution was filed against him. Private Delling arrested a man for carrying a pistol in the cutoff. July 1904. Accompanied by Privates Delling and Wilcox, I went to Oakwood to investigate train robbing of the INGN. We captured 2 of the men without a doubt. They were put in jail at Palestine and identified by the conductor as the 2 men who came into the sleeper, and the only 2 tracks that led up to where the express packages were torn open fitted theirs. They afterward admitted them to be their tracks. While we made a strong case against them, the influence of the officers and others was too strong to find any bills. I would like to have space to add in this report the testimony taken at the examining trial. August 1904. I went to Groveton to attend court and carried Ab Angle before the grand jury, but he failed to testify as he had been persuaded not to do so. I arrested a man for being implicated in train robbery, but he proved an alibi and was released. Private Delling went to Centerville to district court. Sergeant McCauley recovered 6 stolen horses and turned them over to the owners. He arrested 4 Mexicans for theft of cattle. Very respectfully, W. J. McDonald, Commanding Company B, Ranger Force. Table showing results of operations of the Ranger Force from September 1st, 1902 to August 31st, 1904. Commander of Company A, Captain J. A. Brooks. Arrests made: murder, 26. Assault to murder, 28. Aggravated assault, 5. Horse, cattle, and other theft, 43. Swindling, embezzlement, and forgery, 15. Carrying concealed weapons, 17. Seduction, 2. Escape convicts captured, 2. Minor offenses, 206. Total arrests, 344. Scouts, 140. District courts assisted, 19. Engagements with criminals, 3. Persons killed in resisting arrest, 2. Escorts, 3. Rangers killed in the line of duty, 1. Rangers wounded in the line of duty, 1. Horses and cattle recovered and returned to owners, 362. Miles traveled in discharge of duty, 47,834. Commander of Company B, W. J. McDonald. Arrests made: murder, 31. Assault to murder, 19. Aggravated assault, 4. Horse, cattle, and other theft, 37. Swindling, embezzlement, and forgery, 2. Robbery and burglary, 12. Mail and train robbery, 3. Rape and adultery, 6. Carrying concealed weapons, 23. Minor offenses, 35. Total arrests, 172. Scouts, 205. District courts assisted, 25. Jail guards, 15. Other assistants to civil authorities, 30. Escorts, 5. Horses and cattle recovered and returned to owners, 28. Miles traveled in the discharge of duty, 74,537. Commander of Company C, J. H. Rogers. Arrests made: murder, 8. Assault to murder, 3. Aggravated assault, 4. Swindling, embezzlement, and forgery, 2. Robbery and burglary, 17. Mail and train robbery, 1. Perjury, 4. Rape and adultery, 1. Carrying concealed weapons, 10. Minor offenses, 36. Total arrests, 86. Scouts, 81. District Courts Assisted, 16. Jail Guards, 13. Other Assistant to Civil Authority, 12. Engagements with Criminals, 1. Persons killed in resisting arrest, 1. Horse and cattle recovered and returned to owners, 21. Miles traveled in discharge of duty, 57,347. Commander of Company D, Captain John R. Hughes. Arrests made. Murder, 5. Assault to murder, 6. Horse, cattle, and other theft, 39. Swindling, embezzlement, and forgery, 4. Robbery and burglary, 1. Perjury, 1. Rape and adultery, 7. Smuggling, 27. Seduction, 1. Minor offenses, 75. Total arrests, 166. Scouts, 204. District Courts Assisted, 16. Number of days of quarantine guard, 224. Other assistance to civil authority, 20. Horses and cattle recovered and returned to owners, 168. Miles traveled in discharge of duty, 45,839. Totals. Arrests made. Murder, 70. Assault to murder, 56. Aggravated assault, 3. Horse, cattle, and other theft, 119. Swindling, embezzlement, and forgery, 23. Robbery and burglary, 30. Mail and train robbery, 4. Perjury, 5. Rape and adultery, 4. Smuggling, 27. Carrying concealed weapons, 50. Seduction, 3. Escaped convicts captured, 2. Minor offenses, 352. Total arrests, 768. Scouts, 630. District Courts Assisted, 76. Number days of quarantine guard, 224. Jail guards, 28. Other assistance to civil authority, 62. Engagements with criminals, 4. Persons killed in resisting arrest, 3. Escorts, 8. Rangers killed in the line of duty, 1. Rangers wounded in the line of duty, 1. Horses and cattle recovered and returned to owners, 579. Miles traveled in discharge of duty, 225,557. End of Section 46. Read by Gray Pickett on March 14th, 2022.